Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Universanomics. So this is our Thursday night show with myself, Sean O'Brien, and Jesse Cervini. Jesse, tell us about Universanomics and what we're doing tonight.
All right, everybody. So we are once again back talking about the marketplace of Universanomics. We're talking about the online storefronts, the public market. What is the value behind this game? Because we play it, we enjoy it, but what is our worth for it? And that's what we're going to really be talking about today. And we're going to do that by doing our first deep dive. We are going to be looking specifically at the Mortal Kombat 10, which is the first Mortal Kombat set for Universes. And the objective of this is to show that our sets sometimes have these maintained hard values. And we're going to look and see why this set maintained its value so much. And a lot of that's, playability. Some of that is just, it's good. And that helps. And that helps with maintaining value. And then sometimes it's just, no one wants to open it, so it gets up in value. Then you maybe want to open a box, and we can tell you why you should.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting about the Mortal Kombat set is that, we were talking about this before the show, there are only 2 banned cards at Uncommon.
Yep.
Just Liu Kang twice, Quan Chi twice, and Liu Kang once.
Yep, they tried to bring Quan Chi back, and he's like, nope.
Turns out we didn't play test him enough twice. So, no, and I think there's one of the things that the set really benefits from, we'll talk about this a little more, is that there are, some high quality ultra rares that are staples right now.
That is a big thing that is happening right now with this game, with this set specifically, is it has all these cards that are really holding their weight and standard, and in retro even. And they're just becoming more and more of like, you want to play this symbol, you need 4 of this card sometimes. That's why they're maintaining their value as such.
So where do you want to start tonight, Jesse?
So the first thing I want to start is at the box. We're going to start at the box level in general. Mortal Kombat overall has a really interesting thing for it. We have this thing called like the average pack price. It's a little tough because of us having an ultra rare and rare possibility. It brings a number to the equation that makes it really hard to like give you there's an equation for it, but I didn't want to go all into that. So I'd rather say like, because we buy our product by the box.
Yeah, I mean, who buys UFS by the pack?
I don't know.
Chumps do that.
Chumps, yes.
Unless you're a customer, then you're not a chump.
But so we're gonna look at the biggest thing right now is what's your average options on a box of Mortal Kombat. So first, the average ultra rare price on this set is sitting at a solid $9.30. Now that may sound low, but we'll be looking at this down the line. This will be our comparison of maybe in a month or two we're gonna do Cowboy Bebop, and we're gonna talk about where that stuff is. And you will see that there is this consistent Mortal Kombat. Oh god, did we spell it with a C?
I spelled it with a C. I'm such a fool.
I'm such a fool.
Go ahead, Jesse. Keep going. I'll fix it.
Okay. But anyways, so there's a big thing is your ultra rare. The good chances you're going to open 6 ultra rares in this set. You're looking to open bare minimum on average $55 worth of value just on the ultra rares. If you hit one of the big tickets, you're already up and over the hump with that. Like, that's the best part. And the same with the rares. I mean, rares have some high up here. There's definitely ones that are going to be like, that's your worth your pack rares. And there's 5 of them in the set right now that are worth over that $4 MSRP price of a booster pack. So when you take the average of 6 ultra rares, the average price of 18 rares, you get an average box price of $93.96. That is pretty good for a product that's been out for 3 years. 'Cause- oof.
Yeah, absolutely. After typically, and we talked a little bit about this on the Wednesday night show with the giveaway for our tournament. When a set comes out, the set is worth the sum of its parts is more than the box, right? Because
Yeah.
you can expect on a player pre-order bundle of 6 boxes that you're actually going to double or triple your value. As we all know, as demand falls, prices fall. And usually with a lot of sets, and we'll find these, when we look at Street Fighter, Blood Omen, I have to imagine your estimated box value is going to be a little closer to retail or less.
Yeah, your cream rises, Sean. That's what really your cream rises to the top of the sets, and that's what we're going to start looking at next. Is with these sets, they're now the biggest thing about this set is there's two major ways to get ultra rares. Obviously, there's packs, and there's starters which come with 2 ultra rares. I didn't want to throw an estimated value on the starters because you're literally playing the ultra rare game, but a starter is what, Sean? 25?
So I'm actually going to pause you there for a second, Jesse, because I sell them for $18.99. Before the show, and I didn't make a graphic for this, I calculated what your value is on your starter decks, not including your ultra rares, right?
Mm.
So I tallied up, with some help from Tim Freelieb over at Jasco Games. He got me a list of what comes in the starter decks. And, for $18.99, you get your 2-player turbo deck, as they were called at the time. I think they're called rival decks these days. And your total value, if you were to singles out everything, let's assume you own nothing, you're coming into the game, you're buying these things for the first time, to get them as singles would cost you $38.92.
Wow.
To get everything out of those, not including your bonus ultra rares.
Yeah. And right there, your ultra rares, if you hit one of the, the $10 and up ones, you hit 2, and you hit that $9 average on your ultra rares. It's a little top heavy, and we'll show that. We'll talk about that in a moment. There's just some cards you could open your thing and be like, wow, I opened Fatality and a Nutcracker. Win-win.
Turns out you've just bought 2 more boxes worth in value.
Yeah. And that's the big thing you gotta think about is like this, and that's the best way is looking at long-term. The double Nutcracker, I had one, Tim. That's how I obtained 2 of my Nutcrackers when I opened a case of starters because I needed more ultras from the set, and I opened a double Nutcracker. I'm like, well, I got an extra Nutcracker now, I guess.
I remember the last time back when we were doing conventions before COVID happened. We were demoing Universes to new players, and they bought somebody bought a turbo deck, and I said, hey, when you open those, if you open either a Nutcracker or a Fatality, come back here and I will give you 2 more in exchange for that one card. That was a deal I was very happy to make at the time.
Yeah. Just when nobody had them in, no one wanted to part with them. Oof. I agree with you there.
Do we want to look at our ultra rares under $10 list? Are we ready for that? Over $10, rather.
Over $10 list, yeah. So I was going to start. I first initially wanted to do this at the ultra rares as the top 5 ultra rares, but when we looked at the actual breakdown of the set of current prices for ultra rares through Rochester CCG,
your number one source for all of your UFS needs. Wait, I'm not supposed to do that on the Thursday night show. I'm sorry.
Fine. I mean, you are our source material point in our references, so we can at least do this much. So the biggest thing we want to talk about is there is a definite hard drop off. Like obviously, Nutcracker is $67.50 right now. It demands that price. That card does too much. It does everything. That's why that card has that value. It maintains that value. Fatality, same thing. It maintains that value because of what it is. Yin and Yang has actually been in big flux in the last year. A lot of people are just started playing it again. Like it was like, why is this card worth $20-something? Like no one's playing it. And then the last year, especially in the online events, Yin and Yang has started to people are wanting to play this again because there's so many good targets that are coming back through. AGS, Air Ground Smash, has a new character that can play it. They can draw more cards than Jackie Briggs because Shiva's a thing now.
She has 4 hands, so she gets to draw 4 cards.
Sadistic Ways is starting to feel like it's coming around again. I'm starting to see more people playing it. It was definitely played at the most recent. It was played at the most recent one of those standard event online. I saw it in the top cuts. Fade is kind of a card that just keeps getting played. I'm sorry about the typos, guys. We try to check them sometimes. We try.
Well, I mean, gourd is a word that word did not pick up as a typo.
Yeah.
I mean, I would eat an air gourd smash.
Air gourd smash. Fade's still seeing a lot of play in Akuma 2, which Akuma 2 is still a thing. Or is it 3? I don't know. What Akuma we're on. No, 2.
2. Two's the one that gets to hose blocks, so Fade's really good in that.
Yeah. And then finally Princess Perry is maintaining its value at $10. And that card is starting to see a lot of play. And you gotta be the right player to want to play that card. I applaud anybody who will. And those are some really good big ticket hits, especially for packs you want to be looking. Those are the ones you want to be looking for out of this set.
Well, let's take a quick look at some of these, because we're gonna ask a question like, why is X worth X? And the first two things, Nutcracker and Fatality, they're staples. Nutcracker is a staple if you are on any of those symbols, until we find out whether or not the gender male enhance works or doesn't work on all the new characters that don't have genders anymore.
That's true. There's a lot of possibility, and that's a game of the market right now. Is if I have extra Nutcrackers, what am I doing with them? Because people got to make that decision. And that's a tough decision to make.
Let's say, hear me out on this. Let's say the powers that be at Jasco Games decide nobody has gender, so nobody gets +4 damage, right? Is Nutcracker still a staple on those symbols? I'm inclined to say yes. Is it a $67 staple? No. But I could see a world where, you put foundations that don't count towards progressive difficulty in your card pool, you draw a card, so that's an attack that's plus a card. It still has EX, it still has Breaker, it's still a 4-low zone. It
still has keyword spaghetti.
Yeah.
Which is a thing. Like, there is cards that love keyword spaghetti. There is there's a character that loves keyword spaghetti. There's 2 of them now in the format. They can play this card that love keyword spaghetti.
So if
Mega Man 2's back. So
if I'm speculating on what happens to Nutcracker in a world where it doesn't get 4 damage anymore, I still think it's a $20-$25 staple on those symbols.
Yeah. Like a 4-low for 4 is nothing like it seems a little meh, but like when you can value off of it and you can put stats behind it, it's still gonna hit. Like there's still like if Goro is still a character in standard for till this set rotates, I will play Goro with this card and be like, all right, 4-low for 8. And just straight face it and be like, all right, I'll put a Sense of Morals in, draw a card. You got anything? Like there's still characters that will play this card.
Now, Fatality, once again, is another staple, but its value, I've noticed, Jesse, has dropped about $10 in 2020, over the course of 2020. I am speculating the reason for that is because it's not legal in retro. 2020 was a big retro year.
That's true. It definitely was a big retro year. There's a lot of cards that when we played Standard, didn't see as much play because they were banned in retro, and I thought that was very odd. At the last Standard event, I don't have the exact numbers. I would love to see those at some point on how many people didn't play Bang who could, but Bang's been banned in retro since the beginning. So
I mean, there's a chance they forgot it was legal in Standard.
Yeah, that's the thing. You play another format where a card is banned in that format but legal in another, you sometimes just don't forget it's there. Like I've played in a few card games where that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's even happened in Magic a few times where like we're banning this card in Standard because it's too good at it, or banning it in like an old format because it's too good, but it's just fine in Standard. Nobody's gonna break it in Standard. We eventually do, but for less reasons.
Yin and Yang, as you discussed, I think came up in value only because of its value in retro. I don't think it's that good in standard, but if retro ends up being a paper supported format, which I hope the good folks at Jaskal Games decide to do that, I think that card stock is going to continue to rise.
Yeah, combo is starting to become more and more. I think stock in the combo archetype of a deck is becoming more and more relevant. Any card that's going to go block, remove, replace itself, and find better targets. Like Deadly Blow has been a big card off of that, where people are just like, block with this, pick up my Deadly Blow, block with Deadly Blow, seal this. Like, you can chain some really good solid blocks off of it. It's great.
Airground Smash, I think, is just an evergreen good card. As long as they keep printing low hand size characters with the water symbol, that card's going to continue to be an evergreen staple. Sadistic Ways is a card I don't think is that great personally, but there are places where it works. Fade, I think, is only as high as it is because it's an ultra rare, because it's difficult to find.
I think it's because it's an ultra rare. I think Fade is commonly high up because it's an ultra rare. It's only really played in like 2-3 decks, and one of them is only in the upper echelons of standard right now. I haven't seen much of it in the retro format. So, I mean, and then we go to Princess Perry. Princess Perry is pretty much like the Kevin Broberg 2 deck is currently what makes Princess Perry good. And maybe the Astaroth that has been that's been floating around. The Keenan Meadows did a pretty deep run in the standard event with. Well, you just like sit there and hold this card and stop people from killing you.
Well, the thing with Fade and Princess Perry is that they're both extremely powerful hand traps, right? Yeah. And I think with Jason at the design helm, I think he, just looking at the cards he designed, he likes hand traps. He made Bang. He made Princess Perry. He's made Fade. He's made Dimension Door Ambush.
He brought back Big Cyclone.
And what I'm interested to see is, as we go into the future, will our design team give us more hand traps? Now, I didn't pay much attention to the future league stuff and the public playtest. Were there any hand traps in that?
Not that I remember. I really pretty much, I won't lie, I only played public playtests to prove 2 characters were busted. I wrote reports and that was it. And those characters are no longer on public playtests, so it doesn't matter. So I'm like, I haven't, sadly, it's been something I've circled back to in quite a moment here. So I can't tell you if anything news, especially, I don't think I looked at the last cycle. I've been so busy with other things at the moment, I just haven't had time to look at it.
But I think these are all very respectable cards. I don't think there's any card on here that's like, there's no reason why it should be. It's either a staple or a hand trap. I mean, really.
Yeah. Staple or hand trap. I can attest to those words. That's a good description.
And I wonder if, when we review the next set, if we're going to find the high-end cards are also either staples or hand traps.
I think because of the next set, we were aiming for Cowboy Bebop for the next set. I wanted to go back before we move forward. Mm-hmm. I want to I think Bebop's like where I think is the set where we went power creep cash grab is the term we use in UFS for it, and seeing what maintained long term, and then start moving forward from there. Because you know what, like Street Fighter, I don't want to talk about Street Fighter very much. I don't want to talk about Blood Omen very much. They're kind of on the end of their format strength. Their box value is at the point where I can enter a retro tournament and obtain them. So I think it's not a dig at anything of where to spend your money. It's just if I can attain those boxes at a lesser means than the MSRP, then maybe I should be spending a full price on it.
Well, maybe, I mean, I'd like to eventually do the same sort of analysis on those boxes, because we could be wrong. We could find that they are worth more than they're currently selling for. Maybe not MSRP, but they could be certainly valuable at market price.
Well, we'll have to do that. But you also remember that, like, Blood Omen and Street Fighter are bloated sets.
Gigantic.
That's going to be a thing we're going to talk about with their value.
Mm-hmm.
Is, do bigger sets mean more money? Sometimes they do. Like, there is times
Usually no.
where, usually no, though. We're going to talk about maybe why the design has, because they've shrunk the sets down for boost and booster wise, that everything is the averaging out, is working out long term.
Well, let's have a look at the rares from this set.
Ooh, so we got one rare that is higher priced than a couple of cards in the plus $10 ultra rare. That is Face of a Monster, which for a long time, Face of a Monster was kind of like it was played. It had some value, but it wasn't like the echelon of like, I need like wires. I could never figure out why people were playing these symbols and not playing this card. Like Kevin Brover, we both every time we're like building decks and we're like, so are we playing Face of a Monster in this deck? Do we need it? Should we have it? And the answer seems to be more and more, yes, you should be playing this card.
Well, let's think about it. It's a 2/5 that always, you can lose a vitality to help get you into desperation. Desperation is a keyword that design seems to really, really, really like.
True.
And so there's that. It has a deadlock ability, and design really likes very powerful deadlock abilities.
This one's pretty strong. Telling your opponent to discard a card after they failed to kill you is pretty good.
And then the desperation, even though this is playable once per turn, change the zone of this attack to any other zone. You get to use that twice over a turn cycle.
Yep.
Which, if you're in desperation, could keep you alive. And if you know your opponent's terrible at blocking on a zone, it could win you the game.
Yeah, and that's what's made its value. Where it's like I could straight face, like I'll say at a public market value, you could put a set of Face of Monsters up for $40. There's going to be a taker on this card. Like I don't know if it's hard value. If at a public market level you could get the $15, but definitely if having them up on your website for at least this price is more than reasonable. So next up is kind of a card that's always maintained its value all for the last 3 years. That's Last of Its Kind. Last of Its Kind is kind of one of the weird foundations of, it's unique, but it has a hard value to it, and it's maintained that constantly. Like, this card's always been $8 to $12 almost the whole time it's been legal, and it just does if people just saw that value immediately. I'm like, if I lose 2 life and I -4 damage this attack, and now this attack does no damage, it's great. If they lose 2 to still take damage, but they're taking 2 less overall, there's that value to it. It's a great card.
Well, it has the evil symbol, just like Face of a Monster, so it's really good in the Evil Desperation package.
That's true also. The Evil Desperation package, love this card. Because what does it have? A Desperation ability of E plus 2 damage to my attack.
Well, it also has a cost that helps you get into Desperation.
So it's a card that pays off really well. It's been, like, this is one of those cards that when I can't find things to trade for, and I've got, like, a couple of mid-value ultra rares on the board, like, that's a card I'll be like, Last of Its Kind? Like, I think at one point I had at least 14, 15 Last of Its Kind at one point. Like, I went to an event, traded for every Last of Its Kind I could find, and was more than happy to, like, wait for the next time you were out, Sean, and be like, here you go, Sean.
So the next card on our list has been, I found over time, a roller coaster of value. Yeah. And that's Sense of Morals. And I think Sense of Morals is a card that is really dependent on the meta, right?
Yeah.
Because I've seen Sense of Morals has been as high as $18. It's dropped down below $8. I think $8 is about where it should be. This falls in the staple category, right? It's It's a 2/5, doesn't count towards progressive, so it works really well with Nutcracker, which turns out is a staple on the other list.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good against effects that commit your foundations.
Yeah. I think the two things that have really brought it down is A, there's a lot more there is a lot less people playing the one what I call like the 1-2 stun plan, where it's like I'm gonna stun one you here, stun two you like stun two you here, stun one you the next, like progressively stun you out. And a lot of people are playing like the I'm gonna play like the one what's that one from Yu Hakusho? The one that's just like stun three,
Oh,
increase
friends
the
and
more
oh,
the
Ice Dragon
Ice
Shiryu.
Dragon. Like yeah, people are playing Ice Dragon. And they're playing Ice Dragon with freaking X's asset. And now it's just like, all right, I'll play this, I'll stun, I'll increase the stun catch.
Well, the problem is because Sense of Morals exists, you could never play a stun 1, stun 2 plan with a straight face
No,
because it's just not good enough.
no. And it like I play decks with that. That's what I was like. If you look at my I'll look back from the nationals when I made a deep run with Kunjin. There was just one Sense of Moral deck in I think the top 8.
Yeah, it was Cassie.
And it was Cassie who won. And I'm like, I really wanted to play that deck though, because I wanted to see is like, do I have enough stun to get through a Sense of Morals run chain?
Well, I think talking about how the meta has changed around Sense of Morals. There was a time where stun 2, stun 1 was okay. People started playing Sense of Morals. The value of Sense of Morals went up. Now everyone realizes everyone's got Sense of Morals. Don't play stun 1, stun 2, and now the value of Sense of Morals is going down. This is a very ebb and flow kind of card.
Yes.
I mean, it'll still be $8 as long as Nutcracker exists or cards like that play off of foundations being in your card pool. Because this cheats that because it doesn't count towards progressive difficulty. And I don't know I haven't seen what's coming out yet because we just did public play tests, but a foundation that doesn't count towards progressive difficulty is never not going to be good.
No. Like, what was that one from? There was the one from World of Indies. Oh man, I can't remember.
Season Guide.
Season Guide. That card was played just because it like people played it just because it didn't count the progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Like I played it in decks which was like, all right, I'm gonna play this on a 2, play my first attack. All right, peek. Have to remember to peek, and it'd be like, all right, I'm good. Let's go to the races. Like, whew. Like this card just does something. It's just there, and it's just one of those cards that people will build through. And man, it's a good card.
And cards like this have always been good. The chat mentions the Dragon of Kyu Kengu. That was a Robert Foundation from Neomax.
Yeah.
The ability wasn't particularly good, but it was a staple because it was a foundation that ignored that didn't count towards progressive difficulty.
Yep.
That makes it a very safe foundation to play at the start of your turn. It's not going to bite you in the butt later on.
It had a block.
Yeah, it did have a block.
It had a +3 mid block. You know what? +3 mid blocks were the baseline back in the day. They're like, I definitely remember like going like, girly girl, block with this, reversal with his heapy kick, and be like, all right, I'm gonna draw a card. I took 1 damage off that partial. I took some damage off that partial block. I'm gonna get you for 4 here. Let's see what happens.
So let's talk next about God of Thunder. So this is another one that's ebbed and flowed quite a bit. It's a 3/5, 3 high block. It has destroy a foundation to ready another foundation that has been readied, which is playable while committed, and commit your tech, it's +2 damage. This card's just a value town card. You can commit it to its own ability for damage, and while it's committed, it's playable. And once again, it readies your foundations, just like Sense of Morals. Foundations that turn into ready foundations, either by destroy costs or 4+ costs, are very good.
Yeah. God of Thunder is one of those cards that, on all of its symbols, it's seen play. And that's a really strong thing to think about with some cards. Does every symbol... Not every symbol wants to play, like, this is one of those cards that's like, man, you could definitely play 4x of, but do you really need to play 4 of them? But it's a great card. It's just like value town. I love value town ideas.
The problem with God of Thunder, and one of the big things that keeps it out of that same league with Sense of Morals, is it's a 3 difficulty. And those of you who build UFS Universes decks know 3 difficulty slots are at a premium. And I know on Water, you have a lot of cards fighting for that slot.
Yeah, Familiar Faces is becoming a higher demanding card now because everybody wants to play actions, it seems, again. And man, so it's like you got to find the spot. You want to play it, but how many do you want to play? Like, that's what it comes down to for a lot of people.
In this, so that makes this one not an auto 4-of, like Sense of Morals is almost always an auto 4-of on those symbols.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing with Nutcracker. Alrighty, Jesse, take us home on the rares. Tell us about Windmill Punch.
The only attack on the top 4 rares list, because I remember, like, right now the first 4 they're all foundations. This one's the only attack in that upper price range for rares, and it has a strong reason for it. Windmill Punch is like the engine that can just make decks go deep. There has been in the past, we'll go in the past year and a half, I think is a better time range for it. Zhao, X, whatever her name is.
Zhanghua.
Sorry,
let's choose a character who's legal in any format.
Zhanghua has been the main big Windmill Punch character. The idea to block, you block my attack, catch a Windmill Punch, has been the fear I have had to do when I play against Kevin Broberg. Anytime it's like, oh, you're playing Zhanghua? Oh, just playing for some Windmill Punches that I have to somehow not die to on my own turn.
But is Windmill Punch really any good outside of a gimmick deck like that?
It's also really strong in Faye. Faye has been kind of another character that's really adapted to, I am this giant mechanical machine of doom, and I will kill you through one of my X finishers. One of them being, I will produce a ton of momentum because I make multiples, and multiples will regrow themselves with her ability. And you just go, play Windmill Punch, play Windmill Punch.
Fair.
And I've seen it happen more than a few times. Tam Carwell loves to play that deck. And I'm just like, I'm just like, okay, I'm dead.
Now, Windmill Punch's stock dropped quite a bit after they banned Liu Kang the first time.
Oh yeah, that card was like
hot card. $14 when Liu Kang was tearing it up.
Yep. And it kind of saw some recovery when Zhanghua came out, but it's like I said, it floats. You'll see somebody. There's decks that can play it, but now we're at the point where what do I play with it? You have to build around it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not exactly a finisher at 5 difficulty.
5 difficulty, 3 damage.
Yeah, 5 difficulty 3 damage base can be a tough thing to say. But is this card good? Is it a finisher? Does it actually win games? Same with the it has multiple, and the multiples clear itself. But man, it can do some work. And that's sometimes the workhorse attacks, man. Those were the ones that some people want to definitely mess around with.
All right, so those are our top 5 values for Mortal Kombat, which I think is cool that the top 5 rares still pay for a pack, even at full MSRP, if you open those.
That's definitely was something I wanted to note when I went through this. I was like, well, this is when we get to 5, there's that hard cutoff, and it was a hard cutoff at 5 at that 445 for Windmill Punch, because there's a lot of rares in this set that are kind of like,
So to kind of break down, on Mortal Kombat, the question is Mortal Kombat a set still worth buying after almost 3 years? I would say yes, because your estimated box value is still almost full MSRP. And the prices on the box in general has actually gone down recently. A lot of sites are selling them for $65 now, which makes your value a lot easier to get. Because if you pay $65 for a box and open a Nutcracker, you've won.
Yeah. there's definitely like I said, this is all a game of probability, and we're taking these averages. You have to understand that the one thing with the ultra rares of this set, after you get below Princess Perry, your average ultra rare is the price of there's like four or five rares in a row. That, if I remember looking at our spreadsheet, I'm actually bringing it up really quick here. There's like five rares that are at $4, and then our ultra is at $4, and the rest of them are like at $2 and lower. So it's like it starts to get into that gray rate that I make my value of my pack at least.
Yeah,
That can
you definitely fall off a cliff in this set.
Yeah. Same with the rares. The rares fall off a cliff hard. You're just like, oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm like, not anymore.
Well, one of the things I really look forward to, coming up this year, since hopefully we'll be releasing booster sets again, is booster sets always shake up the market, and they typically shake up the market in a way for older cards, unless they're rotating out, in a way that pushes their prices up.
Yeah. Uh, there's been some. That's a thing that's been seen, especially in the two. Well, not the oldest set. Well, actually the oldest set in the format got a spike of love when Akuma came out because admission fees and
Yeah.
all the Gyroman stuff. Like, oh, Gyroman stuff that was nothing. It's worth a ton now.
Yeah, admissions fees went from being a dollar bin card, that
Yep.
was like in your dollar bin, didn't even go into your binder, to at one point being worth $15.
Yep.
So I'm really excited to see, when My Hero Academia comes out, how that's going to affect some of the cards that are I would say off the cliff.
Yeah. But we're gonna be looking at Blood Omen. Like, what of Blood Omen does anything in Blood Omen get a jump? Because sometimes that's the one thing when you have this 10 that set standard. There you gotta start looking back to really find your value with your stuff. And that's the big thing I always tell you. Like, yeah, Eurofatica when this set came out went from a $3 rare, ultra rare that no one played to almost 50.
Yeah, I think when they released the Platinum set, they had looked specifically at cards that people had played, and nobody had played Neurofatica. So all the Neurofaticas that existed were in Warriors of the Night that had been sold out for almost 3 years at that point.
Yeah. So it was literally, do you have any of these in your junk binder? That's what it came out. That's what happened with that set. I was like, oh, I guess what? I have all of these in my junk binder.
Yeah, but looking back at Blood Omen, Jesse, I'm afraid, there is not much that can be done to help Ivory Ghost Impalement, right? Like, or Dazzling Maelstrom, Raggedy Cosmic.
There was a character in public playtest I was playing because of that card.
What, Dazzling Maelstrom?
Yeah. That's the one that's like deadlock, pick up a card, right?
Add one attack from your discard pile to your hand.
Yeah. There and +2 to your next check. Yeah, there was a character in public playtest for a short time that I had to make the case that it's broken when I was killing people with I was turn 2 people with I'll play Dazzling Maelstrom, destroy 2 foundations, play its deadlock ability, pick up shotgun you again. Shotgun. Destroy
Yikes.
2 more foundations, do deadlock on shotgun.
I'm glad we play tested that.
Yes.
Oh man. So on that note, that actually brings us to the end of our second episode of Universanomics. I'm going to ask Jesse, is Mortal Kombat a value set still? Would you buy it?
Yes. If I had a want to open this is right now the set. If I wanted to, like, I needed that itch, that
Got to get that cardboard itch.
A cardboard itch started I had that, man. That's would be like, all right, be like, hey Sean, I'm buying a box of Mortal Kombat. I'm coming over. Just leave it outside. Leave it outside from where it's paid for. I'll be there in 10.
Alrighty. So, I would say, yeah, I think of the sets that are on the shelf behind me, and you can see I have all my Universes sets lined up in a row there. Mortal Kombat, I think, is the set I'd be most excited to open. People are still buying boxes. People are still buying rares from it. And I think the market's very healthy here.
Yes.
Before we go, I just want to do a little housekeeping. I want to remind everybody, coming up on January 30th is the Tim Keefe Experimental TTS Tournament, the TKE TTST, as Tam likes to call it. In this event, you get the opportunity to win some store credit, which you could use to buy Mortal Kombat 10 booster displays. Just for entering, and it's only a $20 entry, you'll get a copy of the 2015 printing of Cole 45, a copy of Shin Shoryuken, and a copy of Covert Intent. If you come in second to 8th place, you're going to get a play set of the Nicholas the Saint promos that came out over the holiday from Jasco for their holiday bundle. In addition to store credit. Store credit payout is, I got it here on my slip of paper, 5th through 8th place are going to get an additional $30. 3rd and 4th get $60. 2nd place gets $90. And if you win the event, you get Tim Keefe's first case of My Hero Academia.
Yep.
And this isn't going to be like you win a case of a set that came out 3 months ago. You know, we talked earlier about how the individual cards can be worth more than the total of the box. That's definitely the case on day one. You're gonna if you win this kit, you are effectively winning $1,200 worth of cards by my estimation.
Especially with the players kit now. The players kit is like a no. I wrote an article it's maybe 2 years. It's gonna be over a year and a half now. When Yu Yu Hakusho came out, I wrote an article about the players bundle and what your value was on that. The fact that you get 1x of every ultra rare is insane. And if you are willing,
especially with day one prices.
Yeah, if you can find a friend who is as committed to universes to split one of those with and split the ultra rares, you are making money. And you definitely should think about that. Instead of buying like, I only have enough to buy 3 boxes. I don't have enough to buy this. Find somebody to split who wants to buy 3 boxes also and split this with them. Because it's so worth it. Also, just as we got confirmed yesterday, the 2 new promo cards from the holiday bundle will be legal at this event.
So you'll be able to play Sleigh Ride Stowaway and Sleigh Ride Special Delivery?
Yep. I don't even know what the Sleigh Ride Stowaway does because I know they had to change it because there was an infinite in the first viewing of it. I'm like, there's an infinite here. We got to fix that. But
all I know is there's a squirrel on it.
There's a squirrel on it. He's a little jerk, it looks like. I want to kill people with Santa's sleigh. We're like, catch my sleigh, go.
So this tournament is going to be on the 30th. Your own Jesse is going to be the tournament organizer. Tim Keefe is the head judge. Jesse's the backup judge. We're going to have Tamron Cardwell, Kevin Broberg, and a surprise guest star, it's me, on commentary. And if you buy your tickets before the 23rd, you're going to pay $20. If you slack and wait, you're going to pay $25. Don't give me more of your money. Just buy your tickets now. Want to shout out to the sponsors for this event, Rochester CCG, of course, the Final Round Game Shop down in Somerville, South Carolina, and Jasco Games. They helping us put together a really cool event, and we're excited to try out Tim Keefe's special format. If you have any questions about the format, you can watch last night's show or head on over to rochesterccg.com and look at the event rules under the ticket. I'm
also fine if you post it anytime you see this an ad for this and you have a question and you need like an immediate answer. Put an just be like I'm like at Jesse Cervini and do that on Discord or something, like get my attention. I'll happily answer take 5 minutes and get you the answer for something. We haven't sent it. We are still. I won't be sending any of the Discord. We'll be running the event on until probably the week of the event. So just don't expect to get added to the Discord immediately. You get some. Oh, I'm here early. What do I get? What do I get out of it? You get nothing by being early.
Well, you save $5 by being early.
You save by but I'm not adding you until you submit your deck list. Because your deck list is when I get your information. The biggest thing is adding with the advertisement. We'll make sure to adding after I would say we start advertising the final week of the $20. We'll make sure to put on it. Hey, here's the link to submit your deck list after you've done this, so people can find it. Because we want to make sure people can put their deck list in on time.
And I do apologize. We're going to have to rewind just a moment here. I did forget one last thing about the event. There are raffles every round.
Ooh, the raffles. We
so
both forgot about them.
yeah, we're terrible at this. So in the Tim Keefe tournament, there's going to be some raffles. Every round, if you played your round or had a bye, you're going to get a ticket into winning the round prize. So far, we've revealed the first prize in round 1, and this is provided by the Final Round Game Shop. 2 winners are going to get a copy of the Street Fighter DLC. And eventually here, we're going to do a DLC show, because there are valuable cards in the DLC as singles. So that's a great value. If you enter the tournament and you win one of the raffle prizes, you win in round 1 one of these DLCs, you have made $2.50 on your entry. Dang. Not including your promos, which are valued at $15. So that's epic winning. And we're going to be actually announcing the second raffle prize tomorrow on the Rochester CCG Facebook page. So be on the lookout for that. All right. Any final thoughts for tonight, Jesse, before we move on and close the show?
So I realize everybody wondering that obviously we are aiming for this to be a monthly show. Getting John and I to do 2 shows in the week. We're old men. Most of us want to go to bed. I'm already eyeing my bed behind me. I'm like, but we are definitely going to be doing this, so it'll be a monthly show. Expect probably the next 2 weeks. We'll decide what our official subject for the next month is. Maybe another deep dive into a set. Maybe talking about the broader stroke topics.
Hey, maybe if we're lucky, we'll be speculating pricing on some spoilers from the upcoming set.
I think that'll be a great show to do. Before, if we could, we're just gonna talk. We shoot from the hip, talking prices.
$50. Everything's $50. Comments $50. And on that note, everybody, thank you for watching. We appreciate our viewers. We'll be back. Jesse and I will be back next Wednesday on Top Deck Heroes with Tim Keefe and Kevin Broberg. Until then, stay safe and good night.
Hey, everybody.